Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everyone. We're at the beginning of a new year. Many of us may be feeling that there could be more out there. Life is okay. No complaints. Grateful for what we have. But maybe there's that inner feeling that there is more, or maybe you haven't nailed your purpose in life. How do you realize those things? How do you really decide what's holding you back? She's got a very interesting perspective. For many decades, she's been the woman behind the spiritual Voodoo temple in New Orleans. And she is a priestess. And she's back with us. And we're going to dig into this topic today as we start this new year. Priestess Miriam, how are you today?
Well, I'm fine and energized. That could be like, oh, yeah, get pretty much full of thoughts and energized with different reflection that can advance the thoughts. But then it's that little holdback that we maybe fear, or we have some doubts of how the idea will be accepted or measured, and in a way that it can make some progress or become accepted. It's like this year is the 35th year of the Voodoo Spiritual Temple being established in New Orleans. And I'm at this pivot point of what next? Where do I go toward another 35 years? And looking at the accomplishment that I have attained, and yet it's just seemed like it's still more to be. But then you're at a certain point in your physical state, age exists, and you're like, why don't I retire? But is there any retirement for any of us when there's so much else to gain and to reflect towards? So that's where the year kick off with me. Number 35 years, and I have seen the world. I've been so many places throughout the world. And yet it still doesn't seem that total fulfillment yet.
Really?
Where we
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. You've done a lot. You've done so much to enlighten people all over. But I find it interesting that you're feeling that maybe there's a little something missing there. There's something else, and you haven't found it yet to make you feel fulfilled. Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, but it's according to the peoples and the clients that call each day looking to see how to gain what it is that they have not gained in their life. Their jobs are not yet fulfilling. And so that's what kicked off the year in the way of peoples who felt like, I need help. Some people come like that. If the phone ring and people say, oh, I need help, without an introduction. And so it's like it formulates those kinds of thoughts and mind character over new ways for us to either cancel or teach people how to be more reflective or courtesy. And it seems that courtesy has left the table because many people call and they say, wow, I need help. I said, well, who are you? Or what is your name? So that's the topic on my agenda, is that to be prepared to bring people to a form of courtesy of how they approach the one who they want to acquire help from. That could be from their temple, or that can be from their job institution, or someone, that teachers, or who they have to go to for some assistance. And their manager is like, oh, I need help. And not good morning, Susie. I would like to have a proper time to discuss the matter with you. So we have lost a lot of that courtesy over a period of time, and how people reflect to acknowledge their self to a self. So that's one thing that is missing in our society.
Hmm. Well, it's common respect. Some you pick up the phone, I need help. Who are you? Like,
That's exactly what I say.
why? Why do you think that is? That
Well,
people are, or has it always been that way? Or are you detecting, a little bit of a change in our society in terms of the way people conduct themselves with respect and courtesy?
I believe it's that people have the cellular phone so in their hand, and they go from one conversation to the other. They'll dial another number, and it's like just carrying on a continuous conversation.
Mm.
And so and I find I back people's up, because when you have these tools so accessible right in your hand and you're pushing buttons, and you forgot that you are moving forward to another person who don't even know who you are.
I think it even goes a little deeper than that. In that
Mhm.
many of us aren't even used to having a conversation because everything is done by your thumb, by typing, texting. We've lost that interpersonal connection. It's just not
Right.
there. So I'm not giving anybody a free pass here, but I believe we're just not used to it. And younger generation, not to sound old, doesn't even know how to do it. I just read something before that people in their low 20s, under the age of 28, Generation Z, don't even know how to change a light bulb.
Right.
And they spend on average $1,500 a year getting help on certain services that the rest of us could just take care of in a second, but they
Uh-huh.
call for help. Like you're saying, help.
Yeah.
I have a light bulb out. What do I do? Well, I'll come by and that's $200. I don't even. Oh yeah, come by. Here's the $200. I just think we don't know how to do it anymore.
And in our spiritual work or counseling, how we call it reading or psychic work, but people call us and they're at that point that they either is so critical about hearing voices or and their ear. And I asked a young man the other day, I said, how many hours are you on your cellular phone?
Mm.
That these voices going through your ear continually is going to mess up your nervous system or your brain cell. It's going to get tangled up. He said, oh, you think that's what happened? I said, well, you're too young to think, well, or you that broken or psychotic in yourself, or and it's how you be wind up going to some psychiatrist's office or going to mental therapy, because somebody gonna think, well, how did you get there?
Mm.
But yeah, people are spending walking down the street and talking, and all those voices keep going through your ear. It's like, wow. And that's just a continual conversation. And if your nervous system or your brain cells start collecting these data, something's going to play back to you.
Well, to your point, there are some believe, and even some in the medical and scientific community believe that the electromagnetic radiation that comes from these devices, such as the cell phone, is doing harm to our brains and other parts of our body. Think of what's going on there. You keep your phone in your pocket. So there's that, but that's not that hasn't been studied enough for us to come up with a conclusion that it's actually an issue for us
Well,
at this time.
we have a lot of topics on the table, and it seems like people create the topic that put us where we can have something else to evaluate and to see how to manage, or what brought it on, and to declare that it is a problem. But it
Mm.
should not be a problem if the person had taken initiative not to allow that echo to continue to float through his mind, his mental self. And it should have had some judgment of time, how long they would stay with these devices, that it didn't become such a continuation of thoughts within himself. Because he didn't use his thoughts as much as he was conceiving thoughts. And if those thoughts are not valuable, they're going to start deteriorating the brain cells, or the different cellular structure in the body is going to get weak.
It's scary stuff. I just want to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that came to me. It was a young guy, and the people are very callous that they are so bored, or they just not engage in anything greater practical that could release them of it. This is like another level of our society. It's like, yeah, this is a going thing. I got my thing going right now. And then it's kind of like, wow. But you would be thinking, well, how did that get to the Voodoo temple? But people call us with all type of situation. And so, but it seems that in our society, and this could be for every generation, you get maybe 10 years on a job, or you get 10 years in a different other eclectic science, or you get a career, educational skill, and you say, oh, I thought I had the right career, but I don't think that is for me. I need something else. And that is a big thing that's happening in our society now and before now, that it does raises a big controversy in many ways, financially, because if you jump in so much that you have an organized or created stability with what you have jumped to, and then your mind tell you, oh, you need something else. You ain't got the right thing. And so that is a big deal in America right now. It's like, wow. And maybe it can sort of disorganize the element of nature too, because nature can be kind of wacky too. Are we so disassociated that the energy that help uphold us can go into a combustion? Like we got the fires, or we get the hurricanes, we get all of these different other experiences that can be more distracted or destructive than how we are mistrusting ourselves and become more disassociated with our plateau or our ideas that we have organized with. So it's like humans jump and open up gateways of hastiness and uncertainness. And then you say, oh, but the weather is so uncertain. Nature is always uncertain. So which one is more uncertain?
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. Moving people and goals to the side for just a second. A lot of things going on in our world in terms of nature. So we have wildfires, we have hurricanes, we tremors here and there. What's going on? What's your vibration with all of that right now?
That is a very funny, unique thing. But it's like here in New Orleans, we celebrated the coming in the new year. You know, here we've gone through the whole night almost. And so it's like when we get up, my husband said, oh, just stop and look, come to the TV. And who would have thought, and anyway, we would be working up where somebody has organized so well and bring this destructive element and right into the French Quarter. It's like, wow. And so here with that, and now it's what, a week later, all of a sudden, Santa Ana winds blow and all of here, the burning, the fires. It's like, what is the key factor, is it? And have we gotten so structured in our mind evolutionary of being successful and having our materialistic gratification so fixed that maybe we had not thought about nature. We had not
Hmm.
thought about the elements that can come and so quickly and deceive us of it. It's like a war between the humans and the nature. I'm going to war to have my way and have my successful plot. I want this piece of land. And so it's like this big war. Maybe it's gone on for how many years in history that the human is at war with itself or he's at war with nature and how he places himself in a space with nature. It's like, wow. So there's a lot of things that we are have on the agenda or have in our mind to know, and but our needs to be practical and impractical. Is it practical to be so hasty wanting to travel and they said how many airplanes in the sky and how much carbon that is put out from all
Hmm.
of the airplanes, but we still want to fly. We got to get this. We got to go. So it's amazing how we know that we could take a moment and not be so hasty to want all of these things that, and because we have these tools to make it happen. But when my thoughts is that we recognize there's a situation global warming, but the globe isn't just warming by itself. We are the tools that has infuriated the warmness greater than we thought the globe is warming. So, but if we are able to accept that and acknowledge that we have to take some restraint, and are we ready to take that restraint that is necessary to help nature to not be so destructive? That would be the question.
Do you feel that? Okay, well, let me rephrase this.
Oh, okay.
The difference between the want and the needs. Many of us, want to win $1 million, want to have the big house on the hill, want. But do we really need all of that? How do you look at both of those? 'Cause a lot of times you'll hear people say, "I had it all. I thought, everything you could imagine. It meant nothing to me. I felt empty." What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's having it and then have some inner self fulfillment. But if it if the mind wanted to look impressive, to feel that yes, look at me, I'm like a big shot.
Mm,
But you're so empty inside. And so, but once you have find some creative peace and relaxation within your soul, you don't need to work so hard to create the biggest mansion that people can just say, wow. And so, and I look at, oh, how did they get there? And so, a lot of people want to look impressive in life. We feel like if we can impress somebody, they're going to respect us more.
mm,
That's in some person. Or some people just like to shove it down some people's throat.
mm.
And then so and then and so it's character building outside more than character building on the inside. But when you can build your character well on the inside, and even though you prosperous and all these things come to be, it's not such a big showcase that I'm more important than you.
Hmm.
And I kind of think one of my favorite was Danny Thomas and and so Marlo Thomas' father. And it was something about Danny Thomas. And then when he uh, put in structure of the children's hospital, and so I'm like,
St. Jude, was it
wow,
St. Jude, right?
St. Jude, yeah. And then I see, and it's St. Jude, and I said, oh, but I didn't. I was young, but I used to watch the Danny Thomas show.
Hmm.
But it's something that, yeah, he was there. But what was his soul? His soul there had conceived something more in depths to meet people's sorrows or the pains or the suffering of what comes through the soul of children's same as we, but out of there's a child that is going to come with some kind of cancer cell, or it's like what. And I often wonder in my mind, did he have or how that hit him? But I really admire St. Jude's, and I do donate to St. Jude. So
it's interesting when I forgot about him, but when you think about it, like he was an actor, a singer, he was a producer, but the other part of him was a fundraiser for charity, and he was known for that. There are other celebrities that donate or do some charitable work on the side, which it's all great, all appreciated, but that's what he was known for. And that he had this dream of building a children's hospital, and there it happened. And there it happened.
And I didn't know all of that till now with you.
Oh, yeah.
But I had that compassion to him.
Yeah. You know what? Compassion, and he was dedicated to raising money for charity. Again, others help out, and that's great. But that was I think for him, his mission in life. Yeah, I want to entertain, make people, laugh, have fun. But also, I got another job here, and that job is to give back. Interesting.
That was amazing. I used to watch those Ed Sullivan and all of those different characters. But anyway, so that is one of my passions. And I think that's come back that if people could find some passions on that level, of different levels, to see some rewards besides trying to overly stress that they haven't find exactly what they want. Because I believe that on this earth, it is never a such thing that's going to always fulfill this idea of what we want. If we apply a service towards something and stand behind that service, I believe it secures many of our wants or needs. But if we only physical dwell on it from a selfish point of view, it's like we're never going to feel fulfilled that we got what we want.
Because you did it for the wrong reasons, like you just said. He was doing it for the right reasons, I believe, and he passed away many years ago. But by the way, of a sudden heart attack, just took his life. But I don't believe he was doing it to get exposure. He was just doing it because there's no children's hospital in this country, and that started back in the 1950s. He had that dream. But how interesting, after he passed, then his daughter picked up from where he left off. Yeah, Marlo, to continue that. That passion. We're out of time, Priestess. I don't know where it goes.
Already?
I look up. We're actually overtime. I look up and just kind of breezes on by.
Where does the time go?
I don't know. VoodooSpiritualTemple.org is the website. You have a lot of insight on there. Your story, how you give back, how you change people's lives, and also for anybody that's interested, you have a store there with very spiritual, interesting products. Always great having you on here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I respect that. And hopefully we had said something that would reward somebody with some more creative thoughts for themselves.
I do believe so. Also, I'd like to add, stay warm there in New Orleans. It's going to get cold soon.
Okay. Well, we just got a lot of cracks.
Yes. All right. We'll talk
old
soon.
Houses. Yeah.
Well, I like to say I have a friend who wrote a song, and the lyrics go, the core is still the same, but there's a few more cracks there in my shell. So we're all the same, but every once in a while, a little crack.
Just got a few more cracks to fill.
All right. Be well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll talk soon. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.